Hi, I'm Alex Jennings, and I'd like to introduce Lauren Lodge-Campbell. I'm here, I'm an actor, so I'm here for the words, really. And it's been a massive privilege to spend time here bathing in the warm warmth of all this extraordinary talent. It's very humbling because they work much harder than actors do. So, Lauren, what have you got for us?
So it's called The Sprig of Thyme, and it's a folk song arranged by the Australian composer Percy Grainger.
You'd like to sing it first?
Yes. Once I had a sprig of thyme. It prospered by night and by day, till a false young man came a-courting to me, and he stole all this time away. The garden was standing by, he bade him choose for me. He chose the lily and the violet and the pink. But I really did refuse them all three. Time, it is the prettiest thing, and time it will go on, and time it will bring all things to an end. And so does my time grow. It's very well drinking ale, and it's very well drinking wine, but it's far better sitting by a young man's side. That has won the sight of mine.
So it's a beautiful song and deceptively simple, I think, isn't it? And one of the differences, I suppose, between working on a part in an opera is that you have a character to sort of get your teeth around, and other people to respond to and play with, which you don't get when you're singing a song. What appeals to you? Why do you choose a particular piece of music?
Depends on the piece. This
Yeah.
one,
But do you find things? Is it the music that first kind of attracts you and hits you, or is it
Yeah.
the words?
no, it's the music.
It's the music.
Yeah.
And
This one.
yeah.
I haven't sung a huge amount of folk songs, but I love jazz, and I used to
Yeah.
sing a lot of jazz. And I really like the piano part. I think it's really amazing music, so I think that's kind of what drew me to this. And it's very direct.
Yeah.
It's, it's very natural, and it's a folk song, and but that can be difficult in a way if it's in a sort of classical style, because you have to.
Yeah.
It's not just a.
I was the wonders of Google World. An hour ago, I Googled Joseph Taylor, who was the first guy who sang this song.
Yeah.
I don't know whether have you listened to him.
No.
And he was recorded in Wikipedia page. He recorded this in 1908.
Right.
And you can hear him singing other songs when he was 75. and he was a Lincolnshire farmer who Percy Grainger was sort of led to because he had this amazing memory of folk music. There's lots of recordings of him, beautiful sort of tenor voice he had, but he was just a man of the earth. Do you find sort of digging into stuff like that and knowing the history of pieces useful?
I do find it useful. I think with something like this, it's sort of easy to bypass all of that because you think, oh, it's a folk song and people sing, deceptively simple, like you said. So maybe not as much as I should, or as much as I would if it was an opera or something where someone, it's a famous poet and there's lots of information about their life and things.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, I think it's always great to really sort of dig into all that stuff and look at, footage of singers or actors to know where we are in the sort of tradition. And I suppose with a piece like this, its roots are so of the earth that I guess I sometimes worry when hearing sort of classical music settings of folk songs that you lose a bit of that.
Yeah.
Do you think, do you respond to it when you're singing it? Do you imagine that you are that person?
I think, yes, slightly. I was thinking I was sort of like, I feel I'm a woman, even though a man sung it.
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm me, but that character version of me.
Yeah.
Not sure if that's the right approach, but
no,
that's how I
that works for you.
So I guess it's an older version of me, and I'm sort of looking back, or maybe thinking about previous experience, or it's sort of like a lesson almost.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The piece is divided up into sections, isn't it?
Verses, yeah.
Do you want to should we just do the words?
Yep.
Do you need them or
I've got them. Once I had a sprig of thyme. It prospered by night and by day, till a false young man came a courting to me, and he stole all this time away. The gardener was standing by. I bade him choose for me. He chose me the lily and the violet and the pink, but I really did refuse them all three. Time, it is the prettiest thing, and time it e'er will grow on, and time it'll bring all things to an end. And so does my time grow on. It's very well drinking ale, and it's very well drinking wine, but it's far better sitting by a young man's side that has won this heart of mine.
Yeah, there was something that Yvonne said about the specifics of colour in singing, and I think that goes alongside being specific with the words, and maybe when you're being more specific with the words, that helps with the specificity of the musical colour. So just look at the first section up to the finish of the first section.
Once I had a sprig of thyme. It prospered by night.
That and prospered when you were singing it. I didn't hear prospered.
That word. Okay, yeah.
And that's it's important.
It prospered by night and by day, till a false young man came a courting to me, and he stole all this time away. Yeah.
So you've got to have and in your head, I think you've got to have an attitude to the false young man.
Yeah.
And by the end of the song is to decide, is he the guy you'd actually still like to be with? Which I think is a possibility in the sort of story of the song, and to find the story in the song.
Yeah.
And also, when I was looking at it, I was thinking, well, is this just about time? It's not just a sprig of thyme that he's stolen away. You don't need to overload that. So then what then happens in the next section?
what then happens, or do you want me to say it?
Through the words.
Okay. The gardener
And
was,
I didn't hear the gardener.
The gardener was standing by. I bade him choose for me. I think I said he bade him choose for me, which doesn't make sense.
It's difficult because it's written in dialect as well.
Yes, it's standing by.
Yeah, I think it's Lincolnshire, Norfolk.
Right.
But I don't think you can sing it in a Norfolk accent.
He chose me the lily and the violet and the pink.
Yeah, so immediately what have you got there with the...
Three options, 3 different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are they different to what? The False Young Man?
The time. How are they different to the... I mean, he is sort of... There was the false young man first, and then there's the gardener. There's another sort of experience, I think.
Yeah. And it's a bit, what is it? It's more flowers, more colourful, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what happened?
But I refused them all.
Yeah.
I really did refuse them all 3.
Yeah, and again, you know, you can't, it's not there in the words, but you need to know why she refused them. Or why you, Lauren, refused the flashy gardener with his big bouquet.
I think I refused them because he stole, because I'd had maybe a bad experience or something.
Yeah.
I put my guard up.
Well, maybe she's still wanting the first
The previous.
love. But you have to, make those decisions all the time and be specific about telling that story, because that will help us into the song rather than it being just beautiful sounds. Then what happens?
Time, it is the prettiest thing. So that, I guess, works with the idea that it's the first one. And time, T-I-M-E, it will ever grow on.
Yeah. So what's the problem there? When you're reading it,
Yep. You understand.
you understand it because it's time,
Yes.
T-H-Y-M-E, and
Yes.
then he moves into
Time.
T-I-M-E. And that's a problem of how do you, if you were reciting it as a poem, how do you help the people who are listening to know that we've had time, the herb, and now we've got time, the ticking clock. So you really need to coin and help us with, because they sound the same.
Yes. And time, it will bring all things to an end, and so does my time grow on.
Yeah.
That one's
So that's
T-I-M-E, but I think it means both grow, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Time
absolutely.
goes on, time grows.
And the herb grows. Yeah. Can we just look at that third section?
Yeah.
Sing that third section and see if you can help us to how you colour the word, the note, to help us with the different time the herb and time the ticking clock.
Time, it is the prettiest thing, and time will grow on, and time it will bring all things to an end. And so does my time grow on.
Is there anything else you can do with that my to personalise it more? My time grow on,
My time.
without hitting it over the head with a hammer.
Yep.
Can you
Sort
just
of
look
whiz
at that
past it. Yep.
little phrase?
Okay.
I don't know where's good to go in.
Yep. And so does my time grow on.
And it's having, if you're thinking those thoughts, obviously that will help us. I mean, I feel like I heard it differently then, but that may be because we've been talking about it and explaining that. But always you've got to really look for all those little pointers and tell that story. Let's go back to the beginning. And when if you were singing this in a recital, what would you do to get yourself into?
There's not long, but I feel like those chords at the start are it really sets it up, even though there's only two.
Yeah.
What would I do? I'd probably try and take a big breath, try and think about or feel the mood of the piece. I think that
exactly.
I would do.
Exactly.
But maybe also I need to think about who I am.
Yeah.
Rather than just feel.
And if it's it's not necessarily an abstract, detached image of a girl in a Victorian painting. Yeah. Because that's not interesting really. It's interesting if it's you imagining. Yeah. And embodying it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Go on then.
Okay. Once I had a sprig of thyme. It prospered by night and by day, till a false young man came according to me.
Have a look, right, do it again. Great, prospered, absolutely, heard it. Really have an attitude to the false young man.
Yeah, okay. I feel like this time I was thinking, if I'm thinking that he's the man at the end, that it's like false young man, but there's a sort of like smile there. It's not like false young man, I hate it.
Yeah, okay. Do that then.
Okay. Once I had a sprig of thyme. It prospered by night and by day, till a false young man came according to me, and he stole all this time away. The gardener was standing by. I bade him choose for me. He chose the lily and the violet and the pink. But I really did refuse them all three.
I think see if you can do a little more with, not only did he give you a lily, he also gave you a violet, and he also gave you a pink.
Okay.
They're all different. And refuse him more.
Okay.
Refuse them more.
Yep.
Just when he chose the lily?
Yep.
No, go from the top of the... Yep, the gardener.
The gardener was standing by. I bade him choose for me. He chose the lily and the violet and the pink. But I really did refuse them all three. Time, it is the prettiest thing, and time ever will grow on, and time it will bring all things to an and so does my time grow.
So do you think she's arrived at... I think that's all great, and you're doing all that detail is there. So her time is growing on. So yeah, she's feeling like she may be stuck in a cottage. But that might be all right. So what does she say in the next and final section?
It's very well drinking ale, it's very well drinking wine, but it's far better sitting by a young man's side who has won this heart of mine. So you can have your fun. She's lived her life.
Which is, maybe she is down the pub too.
Sorry?
Maybe she is down the pub too long.
Maybe. I was going to say maybe she chose the lily and the pink and the violet in the end, and then she's, I don't know. Does that make sense?
She refused the lily and the violet and the pink.
She did refuse them, yeah.
Yeah. And now she's down the pub. Okay, so so again, you've got to decide that and decide for yourself. So go from the top of the final section.
It's very well drinking ale, and it's very well drinking wine, but it's far better sitting by a young man's side. What has won this heart of mine?
It's beautiful. Another choice just popped into my head is it's very well drinking ale and it's very well drinking wine, but it's far better sitting by a young man's side that has won this heart of mine. Maybe he's sitting next to her. So maybe she's found.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You thought that?
Yes.
Oh well, you got there before I did.
Yeah. I think it ends in a happy way.
Oh well, that's great, isn't it?
I think he's. I'm
So shall we
singing it
finish?
to him.
You're singing it to him.
I think so.
Yeah. Oh great. Happy ending.
I think so. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.